First Alert 4 Investigates tonight has uncovered state documents showing a Metro East hospital is sinking into a life-threatening safety crisis. This comes after Gateway Regional Medical Center in Granite City was hit with an immediate jeopardy citation, the highest critical warning a hospital can receive. First Alert 4 investigator David Amalotti looks at what exactly that means and what inspectors found inside the hospital.
So this state deficiency report we're talking about paints a picture of a healthcare lifeline in an utter state of operational collapse. We now know that on Friday, July 31st, the exact day employees complained their paychecks were bouncing, Gateway Regional went on an ambulance diversion without approval. The state reveals the hospital admitted they did this because of a payroll issue and were unsure if enough staff would even show up to work that night. According to state copies of EMS radio recordings, that staffing crisis turned inbound patients away at their most vulnerable moments. The report says at 1:09 p.m., a paramedic says, "I have a cardiac arrest. Do you have a single bed available?" The hospital responds, "No, we do not. We have no availability," forcing the ambulance to drive 15 miles to a neighboring hospital while performing CPR. 1 hour later, another ambulance inbound with a 63-year-old man who was suffering from shortness of breath and bleeding from his throat was also turned away. Gateway's chief nursing officer admitted to inspectors that they, quote, had a payroll issue and were unsure how many staff were going to come in. "We should have not diverted the full arrest," end quote. But it isn't just ambulances being turned away. The hospital's infrastructure is sinking in debt. On top of the payroll issues, we recently revealed the LA-based owners owe millions in unpaid property taxes on their Granite City properties and are being sued for more than $600,000 in unpaid water bills. We have asked to get the actual EMS radio calls described in that state report. We also reached out to a rep for the hospital's owner regarding these critical state deficiencies, the outstanding property taxes, and the unpaid water lawsuit. For First Alert 4 Investigates, I'm David Amalotti.